Hey guys, what's going on? Megan here. Just got out of school, work actually, working on spring break. But anyway, question is, Megan, why is it that protein does not turn into fat? Because I think they heard me mention in a video, or they probably read it somewhere online. And I was amazed at how a lot of people still don't actually know this. A lot of people don't know that protein, it is literally physiologically impossible for protein to turn into fat, right? And that's not bro science. That's proven, simply because even though the pathway exists, the chemical pathway for protein to turn into fat, even though it exists, it can't happen under normal circumstances, and I explain why. First of all, you gotta understand how your body, makes fat, right? Then it's called de novo lipogenesis. And you gotta understand the pathways of protein. I mentioned before how protein is a whole. Protein can be used for so many things in the human body. Obviously for muscle building, can be used for energy, can be oxidizing for energy, can be used to make glucose in gluconeogenesis. Protein is a fucking whole, right? It gets used for so many things, and that's a big reason why it is physiologically impossible for protein to become fat, is because first off, for your body to store fat, right? Let's assume, pick a person A. For your body first stores fat. That's fat, right? Obviously it's fat. Then carbs is fat, and then the last thing is obviously protein, because of the pathway, how long and complex the pathways are. It's easier for fat to become fat. Second is, it's being debated in the science world, but it's, carbs is second, and then last is third. And then the reason for that is because for your body to make to store fat, you gotta be at a caloric surplus. We all know this, right? Under normal circumstances, right? These examples are normal circumstances. I'm not looking at extremes. For the average guy to put on fat, you have to take in more than your body's expanding, right? You gotta be caloric surplus. And when you're at a caloric surplus, the very first thing your body stores as fat is what? I would explain to you guys, it's fat. Second thing would be carbs, right? And even though, once again, that's being debated in the science world, but let's just assume that number one is fat, and number two is carbs, right? For your body to store protein when you're in the caloric surplus, that means it's stored so much fat, right, that there's still room for more. Then it goes in and stores carbs, and there's room for even more protein. That is almost impossible. Nobody can eat that much food, right? Let me give you an example. The only time your body will store protein as fat means that you're not eating carbs or fat. You're only getting your caloric surplus from protein. And that is physiological, unless you're some kind of genius, unless you're some Furious Pete motherfucker, that is almost impossible, right? Because, like I said, if you're the caloric surplus, the body's going to use fat or carbs. For your body to use protein, it will have to mean that the fat has already been stored, the carbs has already been stored, and that you just have an abundance of fucking protein. And let me give you just a numerical value, right? Let's say you're the average male, you need 2,000 calories to just be at maintenance. So a surplus for you, let's say a surplus for you is like 2,500, right? Let's just say 500 calorie surplus, 2,500. You will have to get that much from protein alone just for that to become fat. You know how much protein that is? Do 2,500 divided by 4, or just do 2,000 divided by 4. For you to be at maintenance on 2,000 calories on protein alone, you gotta eat 2,000 divided by 4 is what? 500 grams of protein. Who eats that much? Let alone to be at a surplus of only protein. That means you gotta eat like around 700 grams of protein just for your body to store that protein as fat, right? And most of that's why I say it's almost impossible, because nobody's gonna eat that much fucking protein, right? And somebody said, well, what if you eat something else? I said it before. If you eat something else and you're at a surplus, your body will use that other thing for fat, because it's not only it's a shorter pathway, but it's also easier, and it's more economical for your body's ATP. And also another reason why it's almost impossible for protein to be stored as fat, once again this is proven, is the pathway, right? For those of you guys who took biochemistry, you understand what I'm talking about. For the other guys, I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. The pathway conversion for protein to go into like pyruvate, all these different things, and then be stored as fat. It costs way more ATP. See, ATP is money. ATP is energy, right? It costs way more energy to convert protein into fat than what you end up getting. Meaning, if protein is being converted into fat, your body will lose more ATP during the conversion than what results at the end. So when you finally have your fat molecule made, that molecule will have less ATP stored than the amount that was taken to convert it. So both ways, even if it does happen, you still gonna be in a negative debt, right? So that's another reason why it's almost impossible for protein to be stored as fat. A third reason is, you gotta understand, Your body stores fat when you're at a surplus, right? Energy surplus. And your body breaks down protein when you're at a what? At a deficit. Your body breaks down protein, when you're in deficit. So for your body to convert protein into fat, it first has to break that protein down, right? Meaning it's only gonna break that protein down if you are, let's say, a caloric deficit, because your body's not gonna go into your protein stores if it doesn't need, energy. Now for your body to store anything as fat, it needs to be at a surplus. So you can't have those things happen at the same time instantly. Your body can be deficit surplus. The novel lipogenesis, which is the making of fat, only happens in most cases when you're at a surplus. You can't have a surplus and deficit, so you have 3 reasons, scientific proven reasons why it's almost impossible for protein to store fat. The reason, so people say, well, what's gonna happen if I eat excess protein? If you eat excess protein, that's a great question. What's gonna happen is your body's gonna store, the fat, the excess fat, whatever, as fat, probably some carbs, if it can, and then the excess protein is gonna get oxidized. When it's gonna get used for energy, your body needs energy, is gonna oxidize it. Some of it, the thing is, they find out that when you eat too much protein, your body tries to slow down protein digestion so that enough is being used. Whatever's left over is either gonna be oxidized, right? They find out that if you eat a lot of fucking protein, too much leucine, leucine oxidation goes up, your body starts oxidizing protein, using it for energy, turns into acetyl-CoA and all that bullshit. I don't want to make a video about that, it's too long. A lot of it's going to be used for, obviously, your muscle tissue. Another excess is going to be excreted. The extra nitrogen is going to be excreted, by your body. So both ways, once again, protein has so many fucking pathways. It will either be wasted through, excretion, used for muscle building, used for energy, used to make gluconeogenesis, and the very, very last pathway is fat, right? So don't worry about protein making you fat. It's not the protein that makes you fat, right, directly. It's just the surplus, like the additional shit after the protein, right? So don't worry about eating, whoever sent that message saying, oh, I don't want to eat so much protein, I don't want to get fat, right? Yeah, you will get fat if you're eating too much, obviously, but it won't be the protein molecule that's turning into fat. You get what I mean? All right, this video is longer than I wanted it to be. I just wanted to go into the biochemistry so you don't get too confused. If you don't believe me, once again, look it up. There's many studies on it. But hope I covered at least the surface. All right, dominant spin direction. I'm out of here. Hey guys, what's going on? Really quick video. Top 3 protein sources for bodybuilders. Now, me and Hansa did this extensive study where we spent like 2 weeks literally looking at all the fucking nutrients, minerals, and whatever that a bodybuilder needs to optimize his muscle gains, right? I mean, we looked at everything, things that affect your hormones.